In the dead of night, off the coast of Novorossiysk, three Magura V7 unmanned surface vessels USVs glided silently across the waves. No transmissions, no radar signature, not a single alert from Russian maritime outposts. They carried a weapon no one anticipated, striking directly at the last operational anchor in Russia's western Black Sea airspace control. Just two precise strikes later, two Su-30SMs, cornerstones of the Black Sea Fleet's air superiority, were wiped out in full view of Russia's air defenses. Not by surface-to-air missiles, not by stealth fighters, but by surface drones, each worth just 1/200th the value of their target. 18 hours earlier, at a covert hangar outside Odessa, Ukraine, three Magura V7 USVs, marked 1, 2, and 3, belonging to Group 13 of Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Directorate, were undergoing final checks. Every system was reviewed in detail: inertial guidance, satellite navigation, infrared sensors, and the entire remote control circuit. 4 AIM-9M Sidewinder missiles had been functionally tested and hard-mounted onto launch racks. Ahead of them lay an operation unprecedented in the history of modern sea-air warfare. The objective was crystal clear: neutralize two Russian Navy Su-30SM fighters patrolling low altitudes near international waters off Novorossiysk. This area formed part of Russia's outer aerial interdiction ring, where Su-30SMs were tasked with early detection and long-range destruction of Ukrainian UAV and USV threats. These aircraft dominated the low-altitude airspace and were the only units capable of responding within 3 minutes to any maritime approach. At exactly 12:01 a.m. on May 2, 2025, Magura V7 Unit 3, serving as command and communications hub, was the first to leave Dniester Estuary, a covert waterway south of Odessa. It slipped into the darkness, invisible to conventional sensors. Its diesel engine ran at minimum RPM, generating noise levels below 45 decibels, comparable to a ceiling fan in a closed room. The AI-powered optical camera was set to auto-scan mode, updating object recognition every 2 seconds. Onboard systems included a long-range low-band antenna for stable communications between USVs and the command center at ranges over 90 miles, an encrypted relay node acting as a surface-level mini-satellite to maintain connectivity under Russian jamming conditions, an identification friend or foe module, ensuring no friendly fire incidents and designating it as the formation leader. Less than 5 minutes later, the remaining two Magura V7s launched in sequence. All three USVs assumed a triangular formation spaced 1,000 to 1,200 feet apart, pointing their spearhead toward the east. Each of the first two USVs carried a pair of AIM-9M Sidewinder missiles, short-range, heat-seeking weapons designed to track the thermal signature of aircraft engines. Navigation was threefold: encrypted optical link, inertial system, and military-grade GPS, all relayed directly to the Odessa-based command center orchestrating the entire mission. The critical distinction: these weren't just kamikaze drones, they were mobile, invisible launch platforms with high lethality, posing a direct threat to Russian fighter jets patrolling low-altitude routes near Novorossiysk. For the first 4 hours, the formation maintained a low cruising speed of 8 to 9 knots to minimize radar exposure and conserve fuel. Their routes were pre-programmed through digital nautical charts, carefully avoiding commercial shipping lanes, floating radar stations, and sonar-controlled zones. Internal communication between the three drones was maintained via a short-range infrared laser link and the encrypted relay node aboard the lead drone, Unit 3. At 5:12 a.m., after over 5 hours of continuous movement, all three Magura V7s simultaneously crossed into international waters and advanced toward the southeastern patrol zone off Novorossiysk, recognized as a key UAV interception belt of Russia's Black Sea Fleet. This was where Su-30SM fighters routinely conducted combat air patrols, flying at altitudes between 1,600 and 3,300 feet. They orbited floating radar stations and coastal command posts, forming an extended early warning net to intercept Ukrainian UAVs and suicide drones from long range before they could approach strategic targets. But at dawn on May 2nd, the Su-30SMs encountered an entirely new kind of threat: unmanned surface vessels equipped with AIM-9M air-to-air missiles. At precisely 6:03 a.m., about 31 miles off the Novorossiysk coastline, Russian air defense radar picked up two small contacts, moving in parallel across the sea surface. With extremely low radar cross-section and a slow speed, around 26 miles per hour, they were classified as suspicious low-profile targets, likely surface drones. What the Russians failed to realize was this: only two of the three Magura V7s were visible on radar. Unit 3 stayed slightly aft and off-axis, maintaining a 1,500-foot offset from the others. It periodically ceased active transmissions and stayed hidden behind terrain clutter and sea curvature, undetected by Russian radar. This drone was the eyes of the entire operation, coordinating targeting, navigation, and secure command link with the control center. Less than 2 minutes after contact was confirmed, two Su-30SM fighters were scrambled from Krimsk Air Base. Their vector, southeast. Initial altitude, 4,000 feet, optimal for low-level interception using their 30mm GSH-31 cannons. But this time, Ukraine had anticipated the move. The two USVs appearing on radar weren't passive drifting targets like previous suicide drone waves. They were armed with heat-seeking guided weapons, something Russia had never encountered from surface level: the AIM-9M Sidewinder, weighing over 187 pounds each, with a 20.7-pound blast fragmentation warhead. The AIM-9M was originally designed to shoot down high-speed jet fighters from platforms like the F-16 or F-A-18. Now, they were fixed to the hulls of Magura V7 USVs, launched from sea level, locking onto infrared signatures as Russian jets descended from above. The targeting systems had been recalibrated specifically for low-altitude engagement, lock-on range below 7.5 miles, optimized for altitudes under 5,000 feet, enhanced thermal tracking for engine heat under light sea chop and low morning visibility. Everything was designed to lure the Su-30SMs into dropping altitude straight into the AIM-9's engagement envelope. At exactly 6:07 a.m., Magura V7 Unit 1, which had been maintaining steady cruise, suddenly veered 3 degrees to starboard. On the command center display in Kyiv, this adjustment was confirmed as a corridor deflection tactic, intended to force the Su-30 into an optimal intercept angle for the missile seeker. At 7 minutes and 19 seconds a.m., the range had closed to just 4.2 miles. The AIM-9M's infrared seeker acquired the thermal plume from the AL-31FP engines, operating at full afterburner, radiating in the 3 to 5 micron spectrum typical of high-thrust exhaust. A fire command was issued from the control center. Target locked. Electronic fuse armed. In a split second, the AIM-9M launched from its cradle. Its booster motor ignited, producing a brilliant white exhaust as the 187-pound missile surged off the sea's surface. Initial acceleration, 2,460 feet per second. The missile lifted gently, its trajectory precisely calculated to strike the left engine compartment of Su-30SM tail number 04 Red. At 0.9 seconds post-launch, the infrared seeker maintained a stable lock at 4.2 miles. The Su-30 banked left, likely a reaction to an incoming heat warning, but it was too late. At 7 minutes and 22 seconds a.m., impact. A flash of searing red tore through the sky, flames, smoke, and shredded metal. The left engine exploded, its turbine core obliterated by a high-pressure plasma shockwave. Just 0.6 seconds later, the Su-30 lost all lift on its left side. The aircraft entered an uncontrollable flat spin. The lateral axis fractured. Avionics failed. Immediately, the co-pilot ejected. His parachute deployed in time. He was later rescued by a nearby civilian vessel. The pilot, however, failed to eject and died with the aircraft. The Su-30 wreckage hit the western coastal waters off Novorossiysk, triggering a shockwave that spread nearly 330 feet across the surface. Just 18 seconds after the downing of 04 Red, the second Su-30 SM, tail number 16 Blue, reacted instantly. The pilot lowered altitude to 3,000 feet, banking left into a pursuit arc, approaching the remaining USV from behind in a textbook surface drone intercept maneuver. At the same moment, Magura V7 Unit 2 surged forward, accelerating to 29 miles per hour. Thermal sensor data confirmed the target had entered seeker range. The fire order was transmitted via encrypted link. The second USV launched its missile. Instant acceleration. It sliced across the fighter's turn angle, closing in on the mid-fuselage, precisely at the junction between fuel bay and electronics compartment. At 7 minutes and 48 seconds AM, the second AIM-9M struck the right wing near the external ordnance pylon. The explosion generated localized pressure exceeding 40 psi, throwing the aircraft off axis and sending it into a steep dive at over 400 miles per hour. Neither pilot managed to eject in time. Upon mission completion, all three USVs simultaneously transmitted final imagery and coordinates to the command center. They then activated onboard self-destruct protocols, erasing control systems and destroying their outer hulls to prevent recovery and reverse engineering. Less than 9 minutes after crossing from international waters, 3 Magura V7 surface drones, built for under $300,000 USD in total, had delivered a strategic shockwave unmatched in modern naval and air warfare. For the first time, 2 heavy multi-role Su-30 SM fighters, each worth hundreds of millions of dollars, were shot down mid-air less than 31 miles off the Russian coast, struck by missiles launched from sea-based drones. Ground-based air defenses failed to respond in time. The entire low-altitude patrol layer of the Black Sea Fleet was suddenly breached from below sea level, an angle no one had ever considered a credible threat to Mach 2 class fighter jets. No explanation was given for how Russia's advanced air defense radar failed to intercept a low-level strike of this kind. Videos of the explosion circulated across military-focused Telegram channels, showing the Su-30 spiraling before disintegrating mid-air. Shortly afterward, Russia withdrew all Su-30 patrol flights from the Western Black Sea theater for over 2 weeks. The total loss of 1 crew and the lone survivor of the second aircraft being rescued by a civilian vessel dealt a psychological blow to the Russian Air Force itself. Within days of the strike, Russia began installing floating barriers, steel nets, and sonar systems to block marine drones at the entrances to Novorossiysk Bay. Low-altitude manned flights near the coast were restricted. Surveillance operations shifted to medium-range radar and UAV reconnaissance. This confirmed that Ukraine's attack had forced a complete restructuring of Russia's coastal defense posture. This was not just a successful strike, it marked the emergence of a new warfare doctrine. The combination of kamikaze UAVs, thermal-seeking missiles, and advanced deception tactics shattered the long-standing aerial balance over the Black Sea. The loss of 2 Su-30 SMs wasn't just a tactical setback. It opened up the western Black Sea airspace, creating a critical gap in Russia's low-altitude surveillance net. From that moment on, Ukraine could launch consecutive USV or kamikaze UAV strikes without contesting air superiority.